After years of visiting France, we still get tripped up by the little things, from odd business hours and late dinners to those spiral staircases in centuries-old apartments. Here are the small surprises every American should know before landing in France.
Elevators are kind of teeny here, even though this is a modern, semi-modern building, small. And notice the ground floor is 0, not 1 or G, but 0. Parking lot is -1. We're on 2. Here goes. So throughout Europe, the numbering convention tends to be in 24 hours, 4 o'clock instead of 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. So here we are, 1300 to 1830. 1300 is 1 plus 12. 1300 or 1 p.m. in the afternoon, p.m. And to 1830, 12 plus 6, 6:30, 6:30 p.m. A good way to get ready for your trip to Europe while you're planning and budgeting and doing all that, set your clock on your phone to the 24-hour version and start getting used to it. It's kind of fun.
Another thing that might catch you off guard when you're traveling are store hours. In this case, we're in front of a wine store, and it is open from Tuesday to Saturday, opens at 10 in the morning, and then closes again at noon. Doesn't open again till 3 and closes at 7. So you have a 3-hour time frame where they're taking lunch and stores aren't open. And also on Sundays, many stores are closed on Sundays in France. Now this may vary in some of the bigger cities like Paris or maybe Bordeaux, but just expect that you may find stores and sometimes even museums that are going to be closed for lunch. All right, restrooms in France, also called toilettes, sometimes they're labeled as WC. These are free public restrooms that are self-cleaning. So you can use them, and once the door closes when you leave, it will flood the floor and sanitize the toilet. Just make sure that you don't quickly follow someone in who's exiting, because you might get your feet wet as a result. Otherwise, they're pretty few and far between, so make sure you use them at museums or maybe in a restaurant. And if an emergency comes up and you need to pop into a restaurant, make sure that you buy something. Otherwise, that rude French stereotype may rear its ugly head. As for accommodations in Europe, if you are staying in the historic center of a city, you can anticipate that you're likely going to have a fairly small hotel room or an Airbnb and apartment, because these are buildings that are hundreds of years old. We're in an Airbnb, and this is actually a pretty decent sized bedroom. Now at home, I would expect for my bed to have a standard size pillow or a king size pillow with a pillowcase, but here we actually have 2 Euro pillows. It's not just a decorative form of pillows back in the US. They actually do use Euro pillows here. And when I pull back the covers, there is no top sheet. So there's a fitted sheet in some form of a blanket or a comforter, but very rarely will you ever find top sheets in Europe. When it comes to towels, you will also rarely find washcloths. So if you are one who likes to use a washcloth to wash your face like I do, I would suggest you pack a couple of your own to use without your travels, because it's not going to be very often that you're going to find them in your hotel or your apartment. So this next one is a weird one. We are actually in a hotel, but there are no electrical outlets in the bathroom except for shavers. So men, you're in good luck. Ladies, if you have any type of hair appliance, you may not be able to plug it in on the bathroom, and we'll have to find an outlet near a mirror elsewhere in the room. Sometimes you won't find an outlet near a mirror, and then in which case I will use my phone. But if you're not inclined to do that, you can always throw in a small mirror to travel with just in case. So you decide to get an Airbnb or a part hotel to get the comforts of home. So you can get a kitchenette and, even more importantly, laundry if you're traveling for any length of time. So certain things that catch Americans off guard is one, the menu may be in another language, so you may have to use Google Translate to figure out wash machines. There tends to not be dryers. It's not very common to have dryers in Europe. One tip we have is to buy detergent sheets. This is Arm & Hammer, and just bring those along with you, because sometimes your host does not provide detergent, so you can just toss those in. The cycles on European washers, for whatever reason, tend to be much longer than we have back home. I know ours, we do a wash in 45 minutes. I have this setting on cotton, and it's 2 hours and 14 minutes. I go through synthetic, it's 228, 2 hours. There is one express setting for 28, but just plan on longer wash cycles and also longer drying times, because you're not going to have a dryer. A lot of places provide drying racks, which is ours is on the patio where we have a load of clothes that are air drying right now. So don't do a load of laundry before you have to hop on a train or a plane the next day. Skeleton key. So this is our third apartment in a historic building, and this one has a skeleton key, but we are back to tight spiral staircases. So once again, good to have carry-on.
Here we go.
So you want to eat dinner, and we're filming this at 6 p.m. and you will see that we are outside a Michelin star restaurant in Bordeaux, France, and the doors are still closed, which is more common in Europe. Many restaurants don't even open till at least 7 o'clock. And even if you do go at 7, we've been at places at 7:05, and we've been the only patrons in the entire place. So plan on eating later. There will be restaurants that will be open earlier in the day, maybe at 5, but if you take a look at the tables, often there's only drinks. So just plan accordingly when you want to go out and eat. Additional dining tips beyond restaurant hours. If you are asked if you would like to have some water for the table, they will ask if you want sparkling or still. Note that this is going to be bottled water. That's a charge. If you do not want to pay for water, just order tap water. Also note that water typically doesn't come with ice. In fact, ice is fairly uncommon with most things that you order, and in some cases the water might even be room temperature. Refills are not a thing, so if you order a soda or a coffee, you are not going to have any refills. Tipping also is not a thing in France because wait staff are paid a living wage, and often there is a service charge already built into the bill. Of course, it's always appreciated, so if you got exceptional service, you can tip a few euros. The credit card machines do not have a tip line like we have in the US, so if you do want to tip, it's best to leave change or bills on the table. Customizing meals is also not common and maybe openly rejected. There was one year that we traveled with my mother to Paris, and she tried to customize a meal and was taken back when the waitress gave a strong no as a response. So just note, unless you have food allergies and you need to make some amendments there, expect to take the meal as is. And finally, part of that atmosphere you think of dining in France are the sidewalk cafes with the cobblestone streets and the historic buildings and so forth. If you choose to sit outdoors, note that smoking is allowed and fairly prevalent in France. So you may be surrounded by those who are smoking or vaping. So if that's something you partake in, there's a spot that it is absolutely allowed. But if you are not a smoker and don't like that type of atmosphere, you're either going to have to embrace it or choose to sit indoors.
Rental cars, pretty much like the United States, although there are a couple of surprises. One is when you go to check out, you just need your regular driver's license. The whole international driver's license thing is not a big deal, but you do need a copy of your passport, and hey, pro tip, take a picture and have it in your phone, and that's good enough. And you just get a number off of it or something like that, and you'll be using that in other places as well. So that's checking out the car. Everything's in euros. You want to pay for gas as opposed to having the additional fees that they charge you, unless maybe price isn't an object for you or whatever. And so the car otherwise works pretty well. More than likely, you're going to get a manual. So do you know that in advance? And when I say manual, it's not in the glove box. It's the one that you've got to shift with. So when you're ordering a car in Europe, if you need an automatic, they're probably available. Make sure you do it early and make sure you pick it specifically. There's a slight extra charge, but it's not crazy. All right, let's get gas for my rental car. speaking English. We'll use the credit card, and I guess we put it in first. Here goes. Now, there's a couple things one's got to know. SP 9510. So here you go. Green. And in here, actually you can see it in here too. You have to come around this way. And it has a sort of a green matching thing. And off we go. It says E10 here and E10 on the thing. All this matching business is important.
And green in the US means what?
Diesel in the US. Now, and here's some signs are here. Yellow is diesel here. There. I'm going to top it one more. Boom. Okay.
And also the price?
Oh yes, and the price, we were lucky. It was what, 170 a liter. So times 4, that's 680, approximately 680 for a gallon. So it's basically 725 a gallon or something like that. You do some quick swags. 4 liters is a little more than a gallon. €1 is a little more than $1. Net, net, net. It's about $7.50 per gallon to drive.
So there you have it. More than a dozen small but important cultural differences that can make your trip to France smoother. If you found this information helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe.
Thanks for watching Wanderlust with the Mackenzies. Tell your friends.
And happy travels!